And here at Zolder, it's been the same story. Reutemann fastest in practice with PK second. But Didier Pironi emphasised the growing threat of the new turbo Ferrari with a strong third place ahead of Patrese's Arrows. And a welcome sight, John Watson's new Marlborough. Alan Jones is down in 6th place after having had a fastest of all time disallowed. Nigel Mansell is a superb 10th, but René Arnoux, both British Tolman drivers, Brian Henton and Derek Warwick, and Derek Daly, all failed to qualify. And there's still trouble, political trouble, at Grand Prix racing, because the mechanics and drivers are making some sort of protest here. Now, this is... we heard rumours that this was going to happen. We didn't think it really would. But there you see the mechanics and the drivers walking. This is absolutely sensational, walking away from the grid. James, do you have any new information on this?
Yes, Ryan. The mechanics got together yesterday. As you know, there was a very unfortunate incident on Friday when a mechanic in the pit road was accidentally and inadvertently run over. And the mechanics are now basically protesting about the conditions here, because the pit road is far too narrow, there are far too many people in it, it's very difficult for them to work. A lot of people get on the pit road who actually don't have anything to do except lurk and pose, and of course that gets up their noses. Anyway, they're protesting about that, basically by refusing to do up the driver's seat belts, which is their way of stopping the driver's work, because once you're in a racing car, you don't have the elbow room to be able to do your own seat belt up. So, but what we do know is they aren't going to stop the race taking place. They're just registering their situation by holding it up for about 5 minutes.
And that's a sad fact, because it is now 2 minutes past 3. The race should have started at 3 o'clock Belgian time. The unfortunate Osella mechanic incident, the Giovanni Amadeo, is, as far as we know, going to be all right. Fraction skull, he had an operation. He was hit by Reutemann's car as Reutemann drove out of the pit lane, and it was no fault of Reutemann's, because, as James has said, the pit road gets astonishingly crowded. And here come the drivers back to the grid. In the centre of your picture is the tall, lanky, unmistakable frame of Jean-Pierre Jabouille in that distinctive helmet of his. And the engines are being started up. It looks to me as though the race is going to get away about 5 minutes late. Just to give you the facts, it's going to be over 70 laps. That's 185.4 miles to be exact, because each lap at Zolder is 2.65 miles long, exactly the same length to within a tenth of a mile as Brands Hatch. And the lap record is held by Jacques Lafitte, 1 minute 20.88 at 117.8 miles an hour.
I must say, I do think it's regrettable that this protest should be happening today, because the sport has gone through a very bad winter with the political arguments and things, and we're just getting things started again. And whilst naturally I sympathise with the protesters, having been in the business, and I know the difficulties that they face in getting things done and getting conditions improved when there are always plenty of other things for the powers that be to argue about, I think it's a great shame that they that it should be happening now, just when we need to have things running smoothly and get some good racing to attract the public and provide some entertainment, which is basically what it's all about.
It also seems that there's rather poor communications, because in fact the whole pit complex here at Zolder is going to be knocked down and rebuilt anyway, and presumably all the requirements of the mechanics, the drivers, the sponsors and everyone else will be catered for. Anyway, off we go on the warm-up lap. There's the chicane. Now they go uphill here, and there's a bit of a crest just by the bridge there. Then they drop left, sweeping round very fast indeed. Now this is a 4th or 5th gear bit here. Then back into 3rd gear, up into 4th as they come into the second part of the right-hander. They stay in 4th gear and then drop down towards the boulder beg. We look down at one of the Alfa Romeos. It looks like Mario Andretti's from the colour and shape of the helmet. Well, that's the exit from the Boulderberg, and up to the Jochen Rindt corner, up to the Jackie X left and right that you're looking at now. And you see the banners across the circuit, and as you can see for yourself, the cars are forming up.
In the normal way, they all go around in formation as a sort of pace lap, you see, which is dictated by the pole position man who leads the field round. And they come onto the grid, keep the engines running, and off they go. But of course, with all this fuss and bother, and some people not being in their cars when it was time to set off, we seem to have a problem. So whether they'll start again and do a pace lap now or not, I have no idea.
Reutemann is obviously extremely unhappy about something. Here comes Piquet threading his way into position past Pironi's car. Meantime, Patrese is obviously even more agitated than Reutemann was.
I think Piquet's done a tweak here because he was one of the first out. I reckon he's done 2 laps, which is a little old pros trick that one does if one either wants to do some check the handling of your car. You go out in the warm-up lap and then come innocently into the pits, which of course in order to get back to the grid gives you another lap to do, and you can warm your tyres up more or do any little job with your car. Patrese waving his arms now, which means his engine isn't started, and Patrese missed the start.
And there you go, that was Zolder Stohr. It looks to me, yes, Zolder Stohr has gone straight
Somebody's
into the back
run
of
over
Patrase's car. And a marshal has been run over.
That is the most terrible thing. This is the organisers' fault. I'm afraid that's an awful, awful situation. They should stop the race.
And there is
they started the race when they knew Patrase's engine wasn't running. They'd switched some people off.
And here's the replay. Look at Stohr's car coming through. And he goes straight into the back of Patrase's car. There's other trouble again on the right. And it's his own mechanic. It's his own mechanic that's been knocked down.
Who was probably trying to start the car.
Meantime, they're streaming through, and I can tell you that it's a William. It looks like Piquet in the lead as they go through the chicane up to Terlamen, the double right-hander, then on towards the Boulderberg, and it's Nelson Piquet, second in the World Championship, and look at the lead that he's got on the first lap. Now, there's no sign, as I look down onto the grid, as Patrase's car is being towed away, of the race being stopped, and it's got to be stopped, because there is
They've got a red flag now. There's a man with a red flag.
There's a course car right in the middle of the circuit, as you can see. There are the yellow flags. Well, this is a tragic opening to the 1981 Belgian Grand Prix, because as Nelson Piquet in the lead exits the Jochen Ritz, they are waving, as you see, waving. This is unbelievably dangerous, and those marshals out on the circuit are taking a tremendous chance, because the drivers will be well and truly swept up, and there's Chico Serra almost taking one of the marshals with him.
That was the most terrible thing, you know. I hold the organisers entirely responsible for total incompetence there, because they started the race when they knew there was a mess. The cars had all arrived at the wrong moment. They should have cancelled the start and started it again. And I'm afraid that the organisers have behaved in the typically amateurish and incompetent way, and we've got a person certainly seriously injured, because I think the mechanic was at the back of Patrase's car attempting to start it, where you plug it in, and I think he probably took the brunt of that accident.
It is extremely difficult to tell what is happening here at Zolder. The drivers are pressing on, as you can see for yourselves, but there is absolute mayhem in the start area.
I think a couple of drivers are pressing on. I think the others have slowed right down and are going to possibly sort of stop of their own accord, because nobody has stopped this race.
While you're looking at, yeah, that's it, there is Eddie Cheever waving his hands as if to say, stop the race, for heaven's sake, stop the race. They're all slowing down. How can they possibly race when there are mechanics and officials all over the circuit? And there is no doubt that I suspect voluntarily the drivers are stopping the race themselves. Well, Nelson Piquet coming up now. He will see that the circuit is fully occupied with cars in front of him, slows down, and will undoubtedly be a very unhappy and disappointed man. He took the lead. He was in